Welcome to Priority Traffic Podcast, where I strive to inspire and empower individuals to prioritize their wellness, create sustainable habits, and build a thriving lifestyle. I'm your host, Chris. Each episode, we discuss personal growth and resilience building techniques to help you excel in your profession and in life. We'll explore insights and actionable strategies for overcoming challenges on and off the job. My mission is to promote holistic wellness and performance while helping you become your best self daily. I aim to foster continuous improvement with clear, evidence-based guidance. Whether you're a veteran firefighter or just starting out, let's make Priority Traffic Podcast your go-to resource for wellness and high performance. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy this episode of Priority Traffic Podcast. Welcome back to Priority Traffic Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, and today we have a very special guest with us, Sheila Thelen. Sheila, how are you doing today?
Hi, thanks for having me. Woo!
Welcome to the show. So, Sheila Thelen is a world-renowned figure skating coach and high-end, high-level figure skater. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I've worked with all levels, everything from trench warfare of little kids through Olympians that have grown up on my gear.
Absolutely. So, Sheila has spent a lifetime developing training gear to make figure skaters even better than they could have been with just on ice practice. And Sheila was able to discover what she calls spin training, and it's a approach to figure skating that allows figure skaters to be spun on the ground, leave the ground in some gear, spin in the air, follow some commands, do some high speed spinning, and it allows them to come back down, land on one foot, switch feet, all this amazing stuff. Sheila, can you tell us a little bit about how that kind of started with your company, and that'll kind of set the groundwork for where this story is going to go?
So we're actually an old company. We've been doing this for 28 years. I've been doing it for a long time, worked with, like I said, all levels of athletes, and it worked. It really worked. Like, we had athletes doing skills that the biomechanic guy said weren't even possible. So with that, it just kept expanding, and we started working with more and more athletes. And that's the big expansion that leads into your story of we 5 years ago expanded into the general public. And what would that even look like? What would that look like to help more athletes, much less the aging population, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, kids with autism? Like, what would it look like to work with everyone that has a brain? And that's where the story starts and leads from. And that's how my project with you comes forward. Yeah.
So there was a time several months ago where I was studying, and I do very regularly read about the performance side of fire service, and I stumbled into what they call vestibular hallucinations in the fire service. It was actually mentioned in one of the articles I was reading, and lo and behold, the vestibular system, which I'm sure you have your little thing ready to show everybody, but we will get into that. And the vestibular system plays a large role in what we do as humans, let alone in a burning structure with no vision, under loud noises, the pressure to perform in a very compressed time frame. So this spinning that you came across is actually quite relevant to fire service and athletes in general, but even more so people who put their lives on the line every day. So that led me to you, and I started reaching out to you, and lo and behold, I was able to come visit you in Minneapolis. My wife and I flew out there for a couple days. You so graciously hosted us and fed us meals, and then you spun the crap out of us. But it was a very unique experience, and so that kind of brings us full circle to where we are. And how can we use this product or these pieces of equipment to start developing our performance on the fire ground? But first, how did you find out that this spinning was actually making a difference above and beyond just the sport contribution?
So it starts with, of course, 28 years of being in business. And I we really are the number one harness spinner company, for sure in North America. My main competitors from Russia, but we have worldwide sales. We sell all over the world, and I was speaking at a conference. I speak at conferences, trade shows, events. Like I speak all over, and I was at an event and. At a major location, and afterwards we're kind of sitting in the bar having adult beverages, kind of where business gets done.
Right. In
business. And the coach next to me says, yeah, I have a problem with dizzy athletes. And I looked at him like he was a total moron. I'm like, what? Like, no, figure skaters, we never get dizzy. We never get dizzy. You can even spin the little kids like crazy, and off they go. But that started the first ding in my head of like, what do you mean you have dizzy athletes? That's so weird, And then, of course, the next coach is like, yeah, I got a couple dumb kids working with me. And I'm like, what? No. Figure skaters, super smart, 8th graders taking college trig. So they kind of went through the whole laundry list of problems in a circle.
Right.
The whole time now my head's really screaming because those aren't figure skating problems.
Right.
I had none of these. Yeah, I had none of these problems that all these coaches had in other sports. And I was like, okay, what am I doing differently than all these other sports? And the answer is spinning. And I'm also going to say it's spinning with a midline cross. So we got both sides of the brain really active. We have midline cross, we have axis, we have balance, we have proprioception. We have all these things going on in figure skating. Because if you really look at a figure skater, they have the most amazing balance on the planet, you know? So what are we doing differently? And that, so the 10-year ago window led to the 5-year ago window, where we talk about the vestibular system. And same thing, I went nuts. I completely went off the charts deep end obsession with spinning. Okay. Right. And my family's so sick of me. My family's, yeah.
So you're totally fine. The spinning sports, when we were out there, we were having a really deep discussion about the benefits of spinning and how figure skating does something. And you said straight line sports versus spinning sports. And I had never thought of sport in that aspect. And more vestibular research, there has a lot to do with acceleration, forward, backward, lateral movement. But when you said straight line sports versus spinning sports, that really caught my thought process. Can you kind of dig into that a little bit?
Right. So when, especially when I talk about like smaller athletes, like gymnasts and figure skaters and ballerinas, they're smaller girls, they're smaller men, and they can flip and twist and turn. And that's a whole different set of skills compared to a straight line basketball player, baseball, soccer.
Yeah. Up and down the court, right?
Field. Yeah, swim, that's a totally different set of movements than what this more, what I would call like a fast twitch, quick twitch muscle, of flipping and twisting. And that's really interesting point too, is that the military was really interested in a lot of my data because a whole batch of those really, I talk about like ninja movements, that they're smaller people that don't really go into the military. So the military's got all these straight line sports athletes coming to them and not as many twisting, turning athletes.
Yeah, very interesting. And even like when I think of that, I think of snowboarding even. Like that high-level snowboarding, high-level skiing, which are generally straight line, but they also involve that trick aspect that has a lot of rotation in it. So that's pretty interesting. So let's dig into the vestibular system a little bit. Teach us.
Oh, the vestibular. I sit here and talk for hours about this. The obsession's real. But so we talk about the vestibular, and it's one of those words you never heard, and now you're going to hear it everywhere. Because really what it is it's like, so here's my inner ear. So here's my eardrum, sticking my finger in my ear.
Right in your ear canal, right?
Yeah, here's my ear canal. There's my eardrum. It loads into the vestibular system, and then it loads out into the cochlea. So like you see kids with cochlea implants that are deaf. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the vestibular system is tied to 25 major functions, although we only focus on 4 within our company. But really what it is it's these 3 semicircular canals, and they're filled with like a gooey substance, so it's gooey. And the goal of spinning is that we can get that gel to evenly distribute through the ears through some centrifugal force. And the example is always like vertigo. People can really understand vertigo, but
Yeah.
what that really is a pooling on one side of the canal, and then the other sides go dry. And that's where your whole life flips upside down. You're crawling for the bathroom. You can't function
Oh, it's
days,
awful.
weeks, months. Like it's debilitating. Vertigo is truly, it's right up there with horrible life situations.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
So vertigo is the most obvious example. But with this, the vestibular system, the four things we talk the most about in our company is first, it's your entire balance system.
Right.
So it's your whole balance. So rather than teaching stand on one foot, stand on one foot, stand on one foot, we're taking it from your inner ears down rather than your feet up, like it's always been coached. So I'm coaching it differently than anyone else on really the planet. So,
Right.
so it's your balance system. It's how fast your brain processes the data coming really in and out of your eyes and ears. So how fast is that data moving? So it's really tied to cognitive. It's tied to spatial, understanding where you are. And we've all seen like Top Gun, like pilots and, Top Gun. Okay, in that spatial, but it's also my 78-year-old mother driving a car. Okay,
Yes.
it's you in a fire. Okay, like it's spatial, really understanding where that door was and how to get back to it. Okay, it's really, really key. And then the fourth big thing for all humans is sleep. Sleep is tied to the vestibular system. And
Absolutely.
okay, let's talk about human brain health. That's an easy one. Sleep. You gotta sleep.
You gotta sleep. You gotta sleep.
If you don't, there's a whole new set of problems that we're dealing with beyond balance. So
Absolutely.
those are the four easiest places to talk about vestibular, but it really ties to everything. How did you get here today, and how fast are you processing, and really the concussion group that really struggles after that concussion. Can we help reset that?
Yeah, so the concussion thing, that was one of the key things that sparked my ear, because I got this message from you, and I'm like, is she going to kidnap us when we get out there and put us in her chili? How's this going to go? So my wife and I looked at my wife and I'm like, hey, we're heading to Minneapolis, so we have some friends out there. So we stayed with them for a couple days. You picked us up, and we got to your facility, and I'm like, okay, we're not going to die, so let's get on the spinning thing. And you introduced the spinning stuff, and it was super intriguing. We're in this beautiful ice rink, full of kids, little girls running in and out of your office, jumping on the spinner. You got girls flinging snot out of their nose, like just spinning them so fast. I'm like, are we going to spin that fast? Oh my gosh. Lo and behold, we do not spin that fast or nearly that fast. But when it comes to the balance stuff, how do you approach moving into testing the spinning, just focusing on balance, right? Because that's where the general population thinks inner ear, vestibular system, balance. And as firefighters, we have to carry heavy stuff. We are crawling sometimes. We're spun around in low visibility situations. Like, we need to have our balance without our vision. And that's even another challenge. So tell us about how you introduce people to this gear. Actually, first, what is the gear? Tell me about the gear.
So, okay, I have to go back. You're just so funny. So, like, I'm 4'10". Like, I'm not
Right.
kidnapping anybody.
Fair
I'm
enough.
like cash and carry. Like,
Right.
like I have a whole thing. And I think that's where I have been successful is I'm so not scary looking.
Yeah.
I'm 4'10". I look like the gymnast in figure skating world. I'm
fit
not
in.
scary. So so strangers get in my car all the time. Like, woo, load in, let's go. I got you,
And I'm proof that everybody's okay.
It's just fine. It's all going to be okay trading with
Absolutely.
me. So what the gear looks like, and I kind of have some stuff in the background here. I've got like the electric
Perfect.
spinner in the bottom corner here, right here. And basically what it is, it's kind of like an electric lazy Susan. Like, I can control the speed and the direction. So I can start that initial round of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I don't fly people, like especially my older population or my concussion people. They don't fly. They just stand there and I gently spin them. And I want to go back to, I gently spin you, like very carefully, very slowly. I have some clients that can only do one turn. And in my videos, my face looks so unimpressed because I'm like, oh, look, she's going to do one turn. It's not very exciting. Where I'm used to my chaos training of my super crazy rotation, where then I pull you up with the body harness and the swivel and allow that rotation to happen up in the sky. Yeah. And that goes back to that's the excitement of where I call the chaos training. So not only am I cranking vestibular, I'm also cranking chaos. And the chaos training, I think, is really key for my military guys, my firefighters, my cops, my athletes, my soccer players, those people that really need to be able to control what's going on around them and not create what I call time warp, which is one of your main focuses, especially with my special ops guys and my SWAT guys and my firefighters. The fact that go in and that time moves weird suddenly.
Yeah, sometimes it drags, sometimes it speeds up. It's there's that stress environment that drives time to change a little bit with our body's reaction. So that definitely happens.
And it's terrifying. Like I talk about a car accident that I watched the airbag come out at like 200 miles an hour. And I'm like, oh, good, this thing works. I had a whole conversation with myself as it was coming out at me, like, wow, good, the airbag works. I'm going to need this thing. Oh, so good, as it pops me in the face, but with that is one thing when that adrenaline kicks to help you, but it's one thing when that adrenaline kicks and it gets out of control.
Absolutely.
And that's where that's where special ops and firefighters and cops die because they've gone into the fire thinking it's only been 4 minutes and it's been an hour.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of changes that happen when we lose. So like in the fire, right, we go in, it's high heat, there's time compression, there's a lot of things happening. The conditions can change and then we can lose our vision. And we see that's like there's a disorientation sequence, and that prolonged loss of vision really hampers our ability to do our job, but it also puts us in a really dangerous position. Like being able to monitor what you're talking about, that time warp, and still make effective decisions within that space and not get pushed too far out where we start to become disoriented. That's a really big thing, and I really think spinning, like you're saying, can absolutely impact us in a positive way.
Right, and that's the exciting part of the whole project. Like I feel like I'm tackling you from like 400 different ways
Absolutely.
to really help get that brain and body and balance and cognitive all kicking at the same time. So what we did when you showed up, it was super fun. We did, I worked with a company, I team up. I'm a big team up. I love me a team up. So I worked
teams
with a
are
company,
important.
Yeah, Balance Tracking Systems is this really great balance plate I use. And there's tons of balance plates out there that are phenomenal. Like I like the stuff at Vald, and I like the stuff, there's a bunch of really good stuff out there. And I picked Balance Tracking Systems. I think they're a great company. And what you do is you just stand on the plate. Not very exciting. You stand on it, it doesn't move, and we do 20-second size open, 20-second size closed. And wow, there's a difference in scores just from eyes open to eyes closed. There's a big difference in scores.
Big time.
And then from there, we add a foamy mat, that we throw on the mat too. And then from there, you stand on the plate on the foamy. And so now there's a whole new sensory and an unstable surface underneath you. Yeah. And now we do same thing, 20-second size open, 20-second size closed. So we pre-test everything. Then I spin you for less than 5 minutes. Once again, I keep going back to like it's gentle, it's easy, it's calming. It's not a sense of vertigo like people would assume it is. When you get off it, it's a sense of like brain snap, alertness. I call it spidey senses. Like you are super alert. You can feel your brain. And people always laugh when I say that in videos on LinkedIn. They're like, what? I'm like, no, you can feel your brain.
Yeah. It's just like if you were to sprint, right? And you know how your lungs turn on? Or after a hard shift of hockey, your lungs are just fired up and you can feel your lungs. I would attribute it to that feeling. It's not a negative feeling. It's just a very conscious feeling of the organ, right?
It's an alertness.
Yeah.
It's just like a kick of super alertness. Then from
Speaking
there,
of alerts, are you getting email alerts, Sheila?
yeah, sorry, they're annoying.
Yeah, can you mute those at all? Just
I
because they're
don't know
dinging right
how.
in my ear. Oh, no.
I don't
Okay.
know how.
All right. All right, you got homework.
Yeah, sorry. Lessons to
It's
be
fine.
learned. I need a tech guy. Somebody send me tech help.
Yeah, tech help, 911. All right, anyways, back at it. Sorry about the beeps, everybody.
Sorry, folks. I get a lot of emails. Wait till the texting starts kicking in and 14 phone calls come through. So,
Yeah.
so then from there, I let you rest for about a minute.
Yeah.
We took a little walk down the hallway, a little drink of water, came back, and then I retest your balance, and see what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I always talk about so all I test really that day that you come in with me is your balance.
Yeah.
We've been teaming up with some other groups like NeuroCatch that can do brain scans. So we've been doing pre and post test brain scans. Same thing. Oh my God, it's so exciting.
Is the data looking pretty good on that? I'm sure.
Oh, I'm going to cry about it.
Uh-oh.
So
Give me
excited.
tease me a little bit. What do you got?
Okay, so in short, in the brain scans, what they're showing is people doubled their brain speed and used less energy to create double the speed. So with less electronic
Work.
effort, you basically double your brain speed. But I have to tell you about the populations we tested that, okay, I'm going to be a little bad for a second and then it'll get better. Okay, I
right,
have to be
good.
honest, a little bad. So it starts off with my Team USA athlete. She does great, doubles
Right.
her brain speed, it's all good. My second brain scan gentleman has had a lot of concussions, like 3 major concussions, including a brain bleed.
Oh, wow.
And in his pre-test, and he's been working with me for 6 months. So for 6 months, he went from a struggling concussion patient to doing really, really well. And that's
Yeah.
a whole nother set of stories, but whatever. So in the pre-test of his brain scan, the neuroscientist made the comment, "Are you sure you've had concussions? Because we're not seeing it in the brain scan."
Wow.
And I almost started crying. I cried. Okay, I cried.
Right. Who
Because,
are we
like,
kidding here?
who am I kidding? Of course I cried. I was
course
so
you
excited. And of course, in the post test, he sped up his brain some more, but he wasn't showing concussion history in the initial brain scan.
Had he been working with you prior?
He's been working with me 6 months.
Before the
ready?
brain scan?
Before the brain scan. So 6
wow,
months
okay.
before the brain scan. And when he came to me, he wasn't sleeping. He wasn't eating correctly. He had to be drugged to go to sleep and get up. Wasn't at work. Light glasses. Couldn't drive. Struggle.
So many things, yeah.
So many pieces of concussion that we can talk about. And now all of that's cleared up. He's driving. He just qualified for the World Axe Throwing Championship.
That's amazing.
So the guy's just, it's amazing. So, okay,
I'm
so those
guessing
are,
he's a big fella.
he's a big dude. And when you see him in my videos, I call him Thor.
Yeah.
The dude looks like Thor. Just like he's a big boy.
That's awesome.
So those were my 2 first brain scans. But the big news is the 3 next brain scans, and this is where I get a little salty, were people that, you're not sure are going to get better. Okay, like I'm going to be honest. So one lady had a history of strokes and concussions. One lady had early onset Alzheimer's. And the third gentleman, a life of special needs, spectrum, and so, when you looked at these 3 populations, you're like, oh, wow, I don't know how much I can help you. It was a little bit, it talks about general population versus athletes. And I was a little concerned that it wouldn't help. That was my concern. I was like, we all think we're great, but are we great?
Right.
I don't know,
A little bit of skepticism, right?
Yeah, I was afraid, I'll be honest. So, of course, the story is we brain scan them, and the lady with the strokes only improved 100%. Only 100%. Okay,
That's not much, Sheila.
Yeah, it's not much. I wasn't very happy with that. Okay, then the lady with early onset Alzheimer's, it was like 400%. Like, it was like this huge astronomical number that even the researchers were shocked by.
What was she presenting with to start?
She just looks like she was struggling for everything, just to get in the building, just to come sit down, the lighting, she looked a little fearful, just even in the room.
Yeah.
She looked disoriented. And when she got on the gear,
Yeah.
and once again, gentle spinning, like, about 6 turns each direction, 3 sets, nothing exciting.
Yeah.
She had a sharpness. She had a spark in her eye. She had a calming sense. She looked confident in a way that she didn't look at the beginning.
Right.
So,
She kind of woke up a little bit.
yeah, she woke up. I talk about that all the time, especially with children with autism. Look like
We'll talk about that.
They've come back to us.
Yeah.
The third gentleman is fascinating in the fact that in the pre-test with the spectrum gentleman, he his left hemisphere wasn't active in the pre-test, and in the post-test, it came up to speed.
Oh, wow.
So
It didn't just fire up. It caught up.
It caught up. It fired up and caught up to the
Wow.
to the right hemisphere. So like to be honest, like I cried again. So much
No,
crying.
you
Oh my
didn't.
gosh, so exciting. But like
It is.
these are the projects that, like, to be honest, even blow my mind.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, obviously I have expectations, but it was really exciting projects. So we are teaming up with several groups to write some more papers. But when we talk about paper writing and academics, and really, there's already 52,000 papers already published on the vestibular system.
Holy cow. That's a lot. I probably looked at a couple of them.
52,000. So if
Yeah.
you go to pubmed.gov,
Yeah.
pubmed.gov, pubmed.gov, boom. Use the free one. Don't pay for it. Okay. Use the free service, and you can just search like vestibular plus athletes, vestibular plus concussion, vestibular plus
Firefighter.
aging, vestibular plus balance, vestibular plus disorientation. Like you can do all of that, and there's literally tens of thousands of papers for you to sit and read and enjoy.
Yeah, I highly recommend you guys out there listening, do some research on this. This is something that I can't recommend enough. There's firefighter disorientation books. There's anatomy and biology books. There's articles everywhere. The internet is the deepest resource for this type of stuff. Do your own research. Come to your own conclusions. But I can't stress enough how cool this experience was, and just the need for us to feel it and do it once, because you'll want to do it again. I promise you. Right.
So let's talk about your data, Chris.
Thanks, Sheila.
Woo! I got data on Chris.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, you had huge improvements in 5 minutes of spinning with me, like shocking data changes. So I'm just gonna, can I just hold it up to the camera? I'll just
Whatever you need to do. Either way.
Okay, so you start. So it's eyes open, eyes closed, foamy eyes open, foamy eyes closed. Okay?
Yeah, eyes closed is tough.
Especially on that foam.
I know.
It's hard. It's legitimately hard. To the point, I even have some clients that can't even do it. I'll be honest. It's not within their skill level, without falling and being dangerous. So you start out with 16 centimeters of movement with your eyes open. And then post-test, you drop down to 14. So you move from the 55th percentile up to the 72nd percentile. So you jump significantly. With eyes closed, you had 24 centimeters, and you dropped down to 20 centimeters. So you move from the 52nd percentile to the 71st percentile.
Right. And our pretest is like right out of the car. Like just normal, just take your shoes off, say hello, get on this thing, stare at the wall.
Stand at the wall, just stare at the wall, just stand here. Just stand here. That is, so there's no,
that was it.
Like, I should practice.
Right,
2 foot stand.
no warm up, nothing.
Nothing. You're fine.
Oh,
you walked in. You're fine. So when we added the foam, you went from 24 centimeters and again dropped down to 20 centimeters. So you went from the 70th percentile to the 86th percentile.
That's pretty good improvement with foam.
Yeah, with foam, and it's that whole sensory of feeling.
It really changes the way it feels under your feet, and you really have to fight for that balance. You have to find it. Yeah. Big time.
It's hard. It's like you gotta dig into the foam, and it's really hard.
Yeah, it's real hard. And then you close your eyes.
And then now here comes the eyes closed, and then it gets even harder.
Yeah, it
So we
does.
go from 64 centimeters down to 58. So same thing, you went from the 59th percentile up to the 71st percentile.
And when we
So,
talk, go ahead, go ahead.
and ultimately in the end, the computer's saying you improved by 16 centimeters over those 80 seconds. So 20,
Right.
40, 60, 80 seconds, you dropped 16 centimeters of movement after just spinning with me for 5 minutes.
Yeah, one session. So it's measuring centimeters. It's measuring like my forward lean, my ability to adjust and stay centered and stay balanced. So that's what that 16 centimeters of improvement is, and it
Right, and it also
it's
even
noticeable.
creates an ellipse
Yep.
picture, so people can kind of see the differences in the ellipses. Of course, the north, south, east, west. Which kind of
Right.
sway do you have? Are you more of a front to back or an east to west? And with that, we can also see how you moved, like a like a noodle of movement of how did you move.
Yeah.
And the ellipses got smaller, they got more organized, they thinned out. Your balance just got better.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say my wife's were even better.
Your wife improved a lot.
She improved
even
double.
more than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she doubled her improvement compared
And
to
I
you.
think she even pointed out that she might have been spun slower.
She was, because she did tell me she had a history of some vertigo and some tummy, and she didn't, she was concerned about vomiting. And
Yeah. So was I.
The biggest trick is to get you up to this level of like activation and not go past that. And I compare it to like lifting weights. Yeah, we can work out till you barf. Okay,
Right.
but that's not the goal. And really in long-term training, if you make people barf at the gym as a trainer, they don't come back.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
ideal. It's a little too
That's
much.
that's not the goal of how you train humans.
Right.
Not to the point of vomit. And
If it was, it would be a really messy gym, wouldn't it be?
yeah, oh, and what trainer wants to clean that up? I'm not,
No way.
Yeah, I joke I married Scott because he'll clean up barf. And so those two kids, thank you, Scott. You've cleaned
Yeah.
up a lot of barf,
Oh, I bet. Oh,
I did not.
gosh. I only barfed a couple of times during hockey, but that was because I was trying hard. So, so we have this slow spinning. What you call it, the rail system, right?
So yeah, we have two
We
systems.
have two
So
parts.
here's the obvious one with the fly system, and then we have what's called our rail system that basically you can hold on to, and the whole platter just spins, and you can hold on to it. We've got little rails on it. There's a waist belt so you can feel really secure, but
Yeah.
the whole thing just moves underneath you. And what we love about it is you can just plug it into the wall for like trade shows and conferences and events,
Right,
and
right.
I can just plug it in the wall, boom, ready to go. And it's really easy gear to run. I mean, I have 8-year-olds that run it for their parents.
Right.
It's not hard. It's easy gear to run. But the biggest trick and the hardest part of training is that I got to get the coaches to kind of find that sweet spot. Of like where I get you activated. I'm watching your face. I'm looking for sweat. I have a lot of people. We talk about fight or flight.
Yeah,
Okay.
big time.
They'll start to sweat on me, and I'm like, okay, we're good. This is good enough. I got you activated. To the point your brain's like, this girl's trying to kill us.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. The dose is really important for that.
yeah, let's pay attention to that. So
Yeah.
I have some gear at Pro Motocross, and when I got
Yeah,
there,
you do.
yeah, the guys had it set to 100, and they were trying to throw each other off the gear, and I'm like, no, that's not how you use it. No,
Of course,
bad,
that's what they were doing.
bad Pro Motocross. Yeah, so. So it's just training the trainers to be
Yeah.
sensitive and to hit that point. And
Yeah.
and I don't think it's that hard, but you just got to communicate.
Yes, you definitely have to communicate, and that was one of the things when I got back. So when we got back, I went to work the next day or 2 days later. Excuse me, and I couldn't wait to tell my crew about this spinning, right? Because they knew I was going. I was talking to them about it. I was like, hey, if I don't come back, check the chili, or don't eat it at very least, or do. Anyways, I told them all about it, and they're like, man, I just don't want to get dizzy. And I think the first thought that most people have is they're going to go get spun like they used to do when they were kids, like on a merry-go-round or like on a carnival ride and get spun and get dizzy. And I think two things. A, that's not how it goes. It's very slow and very gentle. It's a very unique process, and it's adaptable to all levels. But two, you're in the center of the circle, right? You're not on the outer edge of the circle, getting that even more fierce centrifugal response. So you're in the middle. You're not on the edges. So I think that really makes a big difference. So
Right. So you're on the center axis, and so I talk all the time. It's not like a centrifuge, like you see in like NASA videos. It's nothing like that. You're on the center point. Your head is on the axis.
Yeah, and you're not going to throw up when you get off.
No. And everyone assumes it's a vertigo feeling, and so they're all shocked when it's like, no, it's a Spider-Man feeling.
Right, because it's not too much, right? It didn't take you too far. That throw up, that vertigo is outside of the desired effect.
No, that's not the goal. Dial it back. And really, I talked about, like, when I first started the company and really expanded into the general public, I had a big lesson for myself on not being a tilt-a-whirl. You know what I mean? Like not tilt-a-whirling the adults. The kids can handle it. Okay, the kids can totally handle it. Not the adults. And so then it turned into a game for me of how little could I do and still create results.
Yeah. So that's a very interesting concept, the minimum effective dose, and we won't get into that too much, but I talk about that all the time in my private circles, and I've mentioned it on here, but getting the most you can with the least amount of thing is going to be like the most optimal place to be. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's important. And people think they're going to throw up on this thing, and that's not the case.
No. If you do, I failed. Okay, I really have failed, and I have you'd assume because I do have some crazy NASA videos, like my videos were used at NASA of these kids, but they come down and they say they're not dizzy because I've trained it out of them. Like, I've trained these athletes not to get dizzy, but it's the same thing. I can do that for the general public. I can do that for cops,
for grandma,
firefighters. I can do it for grandma. I can do it for your aunties, so that they're not falling. It's a whole fall prevention program. We're actually rolling into some research up in Canada on fall prevention and less frailty for that aging population.
That'll be huge. Yeah, and unfortunately I just had my grandma fall the other day, and prayers to her. She's recovering well, but this type of thing would benefit her. It would help her with her slipping, and she slipped on ice, so that's a little bit out of our scope, but improving that cognition, that focus, right? Better balance. This is for everybody. This isn't just for me as a fireman or a motocrosser or an Olympic figure skater. This helps everybody from everywhere. Right? It's a human tool.
Well, and I have to tell just a quick story. I have this little girl I work with. She's this adorable little girl. When I met her, she was 7. And I'm going to tell you, in a kind and loving way, this kid was on the struggle bus. Dyslexic, ADHD, struggling child in the school system. Lovely kid. Lovely kid. Okay. So she works with me for a year, and we really work on focusing on getting her dominant ears. Okay. So we talk about ear dominance. Okay. If I have a secret, lean in. Which ear would you lean in with if it was in a quiet?
I'm left ear.
Okay. See, I want to force you into your right ear. Okay. So I want that right ear dominance, especially for kids that are dyslexic and struggling. So I really want that right ear dominance. So that kid, I really forced her to spin counterclockwise all the time. And we just kept spinning her like crazy, trying to get her into that right ear dominance on the axis and in the balance. Okay. So that's the story behind the kid. So she comes back to me a year later and she's like, hey, I know why this works. And I'm like, okay, you're like almost 9. Tell me why this works, kid. You're brilliant.
Pay attention, folks.
Tell me, sister. And she goes, and she's so cute. I have to use her hand systems. This
is my wife's favorite story.
She goes, everything spins. Like the universe spins. The earth is spinning around the sun right now. We're on a spinning planet and we don't even realize it. We're spinning right now. Our blood spins. The smallest atom spins. She goes, everything spins. So when we spin, we become part of our world and part of our universe. And I'm looking at this kid like, wow. Who wins science class today is this little girl, and
Yes.
she is my most brilliant child. And I do have to say, too, she went from, of course, the struggling kid, and I'm going to tell you now, she's number one in her class. And it was a pretty quick uptick.
Yeah.
Went from so struggling to really just snapping it together. She's gone on as an athlete to like state and regionals, and she's done really, really well, but also a change academically, and that moves into my whole batch of ADHD kids.
Oh gosh, that was the other thing for me. Was ADHD.
I got a whole batch of ADHD boys that are really trying to avoid the Ritalin and all of the meds. Mostly, too, because then they're not eligible for the military if they're on ADHD meds.
Mm-hmm. So what did you see when you started to work with them?
Okay, so I'll use my one example. So this lovely boy comes to me, that the family originally came to me because the kid vomited every time they got in the car. So for 14 years, you put this kid in the car, you need a barf bag because the kid's going to barf every single time. So think of how fun it is being this kid's parent. You know what I mean? Like it's really, this poor kid, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
So he comes to train with me, and they bring the barf bag in even to the training room thinking they're going to need it. And of course they didn't. Okay. Cause once again, we started gentle and we just picked up the speed. In 2 weeks, that cleared up. Okay. Like that kid stopped barfing in the car. So the mom was just like blown away. So they're like, well, let's keep going. This is fun. The kid likes it. It's Wednesday morning before school. Let's keep doing it. Mm-hmm. So the whole list of things just keep improving, and I was the only new intervention added, so he's 14. Now he's also sleeping better at night. So in the morning when it's time to get up, the kid gets up in the morning, not mom dragging dead kid from the bed.
Sure.
The dead teenage boy, that
I've been there.
Get up, like they didn't have to. To the point, he got up, sent his own alarm, made his bed. And the mom was like, who is this kid? Like,
what's going on with you, boy?
This isn't normal for you, Then the exciting things start to happen too. Like the kid starts making to-do lists and follows through on them, marks them off. He came in on a Friday night and said, hey, I got a big assignment on Wednesday. Let's start now. And the mom's like, no, who is this child? And so the stories just keep getting better and better. But he goes from like a D-level student to a B-level student. And I'm going to say, too, he also doesn't love his school. Okay? He really doesn't like the school he's at.
Sure.
So he came into mom and dad with a whole list of pros and cons and had an adult discussion rather than just flipping his shit, like we've all seen the teenagers do, we've done ourselves. He really came forward with a plan of what the problem was and how to fix it, and the mom's like, I don't even know who this kid is. So she talks about the change in him both physically and cognitively over a 10-week period in a way that they just can't even believe. So
what was his dose? What was his training regimen like?
Ready? Okay, it was once a week, 5 minutes. Okay. That's what the family had time for, and that's what they did. Once a week, 5 minutes. The kid flies in, spins, sometimes brings a buddy with him, and then turns around and leaves and goes to school.
That's awesome.
And talks about like school isn't as hard as it used to be, and the focus and the attention span and the spidey senses and the alertness. He had a bunch of career high basketball games,
Wow.
And he's not that tall. I'm going to say the kid's not that big.
Right.
Like, yo, Spud Webb, that's good. He's really, it's fun to see the changes, and to watch a kid go from struggling to really excelling in a 10-week period. Like, it was great, but you really can feel it instantly. Like I talk about this all the time. Like, Chris, you felt it the first time we did it.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa.
Yep. And in the video, I'll put it in the notes, but you can definitely see my faces and my eyes are like doing something different, experiencing something new. And you can definitely feel it. It's super interesting. And we only got to spin twice. And I think getting on a 10-week, twice a week or once a week, right, that minimum effective dose spinning thing would be pretty impressive. But you do have two stories that I want to touch on real quick that are stuck out to my wife and I. First would be the gentleman with the paralyzed side. Do you mind filling us in about that? That was something that really hit home when you told us that story, and it, having been on the gear and experiencing it myself, and then watching the video of that gentleman do what he did, it just shows. It shows that this works, and I could feel it, and then I could witness it in other people. So I just wanted to share these two stories with the paralyzed sight guy.
So, his dad played NFL football, which is how I met him. Is I deal with a lot of pro athletes. A batch on an NDA that I can't tell you about, which cracks me up. That they don't want the coach to know or anyone to know how they're improving. They've had really good seasons this year.
They want to keep it a secret.
Keep it to yourselves. Okay. Anyway, so yes, I work with a lot of pro athletes, and so but this athlete brought in his son, who is 12 years post motorcycle accident. And he loves to tell you he got hit by a postal truck. So the feds tried to kill the kid, so he's a fascinating guy. And he's got a really good sense of humor with a traumatic brain injury. So his right side is probably 60% paralyzed. So he comes in with a walking stick. And I also talk about like dead shark eyes. Like, just another person that my dad's drugged me to. Like he'd really like to not be there,
Right.
Just saying. Really was not thrilled about being there. So we put his dad on the gear. He gets on the gear. And of course we pre and post test his balance with shocking changes in his data, even 12 years post concussion. And TBI, we're talking TBI here. And he was kind of giggly on the gear, said it was the most fun he'd had in 12 years since the accident. His mom's crying. Everybody's crying. Anyway, he loved it. It was really, really fun. And as he walked out of the training room, and his dad carried his balance stick, his walking stick.
Oh, he carried it for him.
Yeah, he walked out on his own with bright, shiny, happy eyes.
Yeah.
Okay. And he hit on me. Okay, I'm like, really? I could be your mom, And he's like, oh. but I joke about this sense of humor came in, and this happy best friends thing. It was really exciting to watch. Like a legitimate change, especially in someone that once again is that group that you're not sure is going to get better, and he did. He did. And so I always talk about the results last about 3 days for most people. So most people come in once or twice a week, 5 minutes, they're in, they're out, boom, they're out of there. My athletes do it 7 days a week, and my kids from the Ukraine that were Russian trained that moved to the States, they talk about when they were training in Russia, they were doing it 3 times a day.
Wow.
Go Russia. Okay, right. Okay. But I'm not the only one that's figured out vestibular. Obviously, other groups like the Russians have also figured it out too. So with that, but we also talk about at the 6 to 8 week mark is when it really sticks. So at 6 to 8 weeks, when I can't get you dizzy anymore, and you really kind of been consistent about this, hopefully, 6 to 8 weeks, you're not dizzy anymore, and I give you an option to cut back, how about every other week, or cut down on this schedule. Nobody wants to cut down. They're like, no, this is great, I love it, see you Thursday,
Right.
Okay. No, it's fun, I'm having a good time. So there is a dopamine load, and people feel it, and they see the improvements, and they can see their data results,
Right.
And so when I give people a chance, they're like, oh no, see you on the normal schedule.
Well, according to your brain scans, circling back, it's twice the profit for half the investment, right? I think that's such a win-win, no-brainer scenario where if I had to go in and sit around for 90 minutes and change clothes and get sweaty and shower and spin and like that's one thing. But to come in and spin for 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, whatever that dose is for that individual, do their spins, get their reps and revolutions, and then leave and just feel so much better. Like, I think there should be one of these in every fire department, or at least one in the fire department somewhere that people have access to. Because
Right.
I've got a list of things that this could be good for.
Right, and of course that's our projects and our partnerships of in every community center, every school, every workout place, and of course there's the secret there slightly that we have signed a partnership with a monster company here in the States that you got to see.
I'd love to see this.
Very exciting. We can't announce yet. We're like 30 days out. We'll do it in the post.
Yeah. Well, as soon as we get the green light, we'll send that out.
Oh, green light will go nuts. I'll be spazzing hard. I've been spazzing for a year. It's a slow roll, but it's very like where does this belong? We joked about. Remember when they said computers in every house, and we thought that was ridiculous.
Right.
Right. Yeah, spinners in every house. It's not ridiculous.
No,
it's
I don't
very
think so.
So
I definitely think we can get it happening.
Yeah, projects with the military, projects with. I also talk about all the people that have found me that aren't waiting for the
Somebody
military.
else.
They're not
Right.
waiting. They're coming. People have found me here in Minneapolis. We also have a location in Delaware too, but we're just expanding out. And with this big rollout, with this huge.
Yeah,
this huge
thing.
project. Oh, it's so big. It will just be in so many locations. So we're coming for you. We're coming to you. Here it comes. Brace yourself.
Absolutely.
Come spin with us.
It's gonna work, and it does work. I really think it does. So before we dig into the benefits for firefighters, I just wanted to have you bring up one more story for us. And this, again, bear in mind, we're sitting at your counter. We're having these heartfelt conversations face to face. We're spending the day with you, and you tell us this story of this little girl from a village, and this is what really brought tears to my wife's eyes and mine too. Right? We really connected and felt this. Obviously, we weren't there for the spin session and therapy at the time, but please just. Lay it on us, Sheila. This is a good one, guys.
Okay, it's semi-traumatic too.
It is a little bit jarring.
There's a little jarring point to it, but so of course I'm a figure skating coach, and we have some of our gear in Mumbai. Like I said, we have worldwide sales. Like we really do move things around, and so with that. I got a call from our coordinator in Mumbai who's like, hey, can you get on a Zoom call? We've got a little girl coming in from one of the villages who they refer to as a lump. Like this little girl has no cognition. She doesn't do anything. She's basically brain dead. We'd love to put her in the spinner and just see what happens. Mm-hmm. And I looked into the camera. I'm like, okay, like sure. And they're like, yeah. The concern is that if she doesn't show any cognition, the village just might let her die. And I looked at the camera like, whoa, this is a lot for me.
Right, this is a lot.
I'm a skating teacher. Wait a minute, whoa, and there's a high level of panic to this story, So I get on the Zoom call and they have her in the harness, and it goes from English to Indian to her village language. So there's translations going on in this. Mm-hmm. So they get the little girl spinning, and they just kind of hook her in the body harness, and they just kind of pull her up, and they just kind of push her to rotate her.
Right.
And the little girl starts to squeal with delight, and the whole room goes crazy. Phones are out. Everyone's going nuts. Like this little girl is showing a reaction in a way that she's never reacted to other things, So the little girl's squealing with delight. And so I say in English, I'm like, okay, cross your feet. And the coordinator looks at me like, she doesn't know what that means. This child, what? And so the whole group kind of looks at me like I'm insane.
Right. Yeah.
So they translate it kind of like whatever, and they translate it into the village language, and the little girl crosses her feet.
Oh, gosh.
And the whole place goes insane. Then of course, here's me, like, cross your hands. Once again, everyone looks at me like I'm crazy. Sure enough, whoop, crosses her hands. But she's still kind of like hanging in the harness. And the whole room is erupted because this little girl.
Right, she's
is
showing signs of something.
She's showing cognition. Like, she's
Yeah.
showing a lot of cognition, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm about to say, pick your head up, okay? But before it gets through the translation, she picks her little head up because, like, that was the one piece that didn't feel right to her, of course, you know.
Sure, at that point.
She picks her head up and kind of smiles and squeals, and the whole room just erupts, you know, in the fact that in rural Mumbai, in a little girl that's never going to get a CT or an MRI,
Yeah,
you
no
know,
resources.
this little girl proved she was alive to her village and to her mother and to
Yeah.
to the researchers, and to the point much crying. Anyway, they are in the process of, I believe, writing a paper with the goal is to try and win a Nobel.
Oh, wow.
And the proof that this little girl has a brain and she is deserving of care and love and all the parts of humanity.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
It's really an exciting moment within our company. Although I have to say, I got off the call with them and then threw up. I threw up because I'm like, oh, this is so much stress. Like, I'm not ready for this. You know, like, oh, this is way too much responsibility for me. You know, and I threw up. And then my family made fun of me, as they would always.
They do, yeah. As we've learned.
Yeah, my family's quite the group, so it's a tough audience.
Yeah, it is. It can be. And, you know, audiences are a challenge sometimes. But when it comes to spinning and the fire service, right, that full circle back, that's what I was doing here. I was trying to understand vestibular hallucinations and disorientation. And it was like my first crack of these books. I found some stuff that was interesting. I got on LinkedIn. I'm like, vestibular. And then you showed up. And there's a lot of benefits that firefighters can really see from this spinning training and getting on this spinning gear regularly. Well, just leave it at regularly, like in a consistent interval for a few minutes a day or a few minutes per, right? Like, this improves our coordination, our spatial orientation. When we carry heavy things, like, we have to coordinate muscles and maintain balance, and this is going to improve that. It's going to help our low visibility operations. When we can't see well, we can navigate better in those spaces. We're going to have better focus under pressure. We're going to have reduced orientation, right? There's just so many things that come along with improved cognition, improved sleep, right? And that's basically what this podcast is about, is improved performance and wellness. And spinning on this equipment is one absolute solution to this big picture that we see as humans and firefighters and humans and people and kids and athletes and old people and anybody out there that is looking for a solution to anything. This is definitely an option and a route I highly recommend. So, Sheila, how can we find you? How can we get a hold of you? How can we get on the gear?
So the gear's spreading. Like we've got more and more places for it, and that's the exciting part. We have worldwide sales. Our website is spinyourbrain.com. So easy to find us through the website. Yep. I also do a ton on LinkedIn. Like, that's my people, is the LinkedIn people. So
sure.
Of course we have an Instagram that is mediocre. We're mediocre Instagram and Facebookers, just saying. Not that exciting, yet we do a lot more on LinkedIn. And those are the projects that we're really interested in. We love partnerships. And that's really been like some of our pre and post testing, that we've really teamed up with a lot of great companies, and showing our pre and post, data to show improvements. And everything that we've pre and post tested on, we have succeeded. So whether it's brain scans or balance testing or computer neck, head movements, NeuroTracker, Dynavision, Maverick, like all of these great companies out there. Yep. We've loved to partner with. And we talk about all the equipment you need for the neck down. I mean, look at the size of gyms. Like, there's a lot of stuff out
There's
there.
so much stuff.
We do believe, of course, we think our product's great, but we also think when you pair it up with NeuroTracker and Maverick and Dynavision and Balance Tracking and all of these companies and NeuroCatch, the Reaxing and SmartFit, like I can just
Right, there's so many.
that
There's
I
so
love,
many.
like so many companies I love, like SmartFit, so great. I think that when you really work that neck up in 5 minutes with each one of these companies, it can completely change the outcomes. And it's really meant to be part of a circuit training. So like when you are working out, it's just
another thing.
Plug and play, it's just like you benched, once this week. Well, you spun once this week too. It's leg day, but it's also spin day. You
go for a spin and then a run.
Exactly. And that's where you'll see the improvements. And and even like Reaxing, it's kind of like a treadmill that'll move on you. Okay, but where you start in Reaxing, spin, come back to Reaxing, you're gonna do better.
Yeah.
And that's it's all part of the human brain. So I think when you pair us with a whole bunch of other really great neural projects out there, this is where we can all not just see the data, but we can feel ourselves improve.
Yeah. And that's I remember we were out there, you asked us, would you do this again? And my wife and I both looked at each other and wholeheartedly agreed that we would absolutely do this again. There's the proof is in the pudding. It's in there. There's videos out there all over the place, and I'll share some of those. There's so many reasons to get on this spinning equipment. And one of the funny things is when I mention it to people, they're all thinking of people who would benefit. Everybody can name 2 or 3 people. Hey, my grandma. Hey, my aunt. Hey, my cousin. And it's like, well, yeah, they could, but you too. Like, don't worry about everybody else. Get you on the gear, right? That's what I had to do. I'm like, oh, this is for everybody. But like you said, we had to come out and experience it. And I highly recommend everybody comes out and experiences the spin gear with my new friend, Sheila.
So my dogs loved you too, by the way.
Oh, good.
My dog's like, oh, they left. Oh.
I know. Those big dogs are gigantic. Well, Sheila, go ahead.
We have Newfoundlands. Come train.
2 big Newfies. Come train, Minnesota. See Sheila. Guys, I can't tell you enough how amazing this experience was. Sheila, thank you so much for making the time, hosting us, taking out into your home. We had a great experience, and I know there is something in the future for us to connect and partner on. So thanks again. Everybody, check out Sheila Thelen, spinyourbrain.com. This has been a great experience. Sheila, thank you so much. Don't forget to check out partytrafficpodcast.com for all the shows and episodes. There'll be accompanying blog with all the links, a quick rundown of the show, and a link to the video and the audio version of this podcast. Please check it out. Leave a review. Like us. Share. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Party Traffic Podcast. Remember, stay committed to your fitness journey and apply these practical tips to help you reach your goals. Be sure to follow us on all our social media platforms to stay updated on future episodes and content. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can visit High Performance Wellness Solutions at hpwellnesssolutions.com. And you can find all these episodes and more on partytrafficpodcast.com. Thank you so much and have a great day.